Good day, my name is Aaron Alegio. I'm from BS at 1A, and today we're going to talk about Cavite Mutiny. So I prepared here some script and I did some research about this issue. So what is Cavite Mutiny? Cavite Mutiny is a brief uprising of 200 Filipino troops and workers at the Cavite Arsenal, which became the excuse for Spanish repression of the embryonic Philippine nationalist movement. Ironically, the harsh reaction of the Spanish authorities served ultimately to promote the nationalist cause. The mutiny was quickly crushed, but the Spanish regime, under the reactionary governor Rafael de Izquierdo, magnified the incident and used it as an excuse to clamp down on those Filipinos who had been calling for governmental reform. A number of Filipino intellectuals were seized and accused of complicity with the mutineers. After a brief trial, three priests, Jose Borges, Jacinto Zamora, and Mariano Gomez, which publicly known as Multicolor Gomborza, were publicly executed. The three subsequently became martyrs to the cause of Philippine independence. So the main issue of Cavite Mutiny is that the Cavite Mutiny is an aim of natives to get rid of the Spanish government in the Philippines due to the removal of privileges enjoyed by the laborers of the Cavite Arsenal, such as exemption from the tribute and forced labor. So here are the primary source that I found on the internet. So here are the primary source, the excerpts from the official report of Governor Izquierdo on the Cavite Mutiny of 1872. So my source here is Rafael Izquierdo, which is he is from Madrid, Spain, and one of the researchers here. So if you're thinking about what the mutiny word is, here, a rebellion against authority. Mutiny comes from an old verb mutine, which means revolt. Cavite Mutiny uprising military personnel of Fort San Felipe, the Spanish arsenal in Cavite, Philippines, on January 20, 1872. Around 200 soldiers and laborers rose up in the belief that it would elevate to a national uprising. The mutiny was unsuccessful and executed many of the participants. So here are the Spanish accounts of the Cavite Mutiny. Jose Montero e Vidal, his account centered on how the event was an attempt in overthrowing the Spanish government in the Philippines. So, Jose Montero e Vidal is a Spanish historian. Montero's account of the mutiny was the idea of attaining their independence. It was towards this goal that they started to work with the powerful assistance of a certain section from the native clergy. Governor Rafael Izquierdo implicated the native clergy who were active in the movement towards secularization of parishes. In a biased report, he highlighted that the attempt to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines is to install a new hari in the fathers of Burgos and Zamora. Native clergy attracted supports by giving them charismatic assurances that their fight would not fall because they had God's support. Aside from promises of lofty rewards such as employment, wealth, and ranks in the army, it has not been clearly determined if they plan to establish a monarchy or a republic, because the Indios have no word in their language to describe this form of government whose head in Filipino would be called hari. But it turns out that they would place at the head of the government a priest. The head selected would be Dr. Jose Burgos or Dr. Jacinto Zamora. Spanish accounts underscored the reason for the revolution: abolition of privileges enjoyed by the workers of Cavite Arsenal, such as exemption from payment of tribute and being employed in polos y servicios, which means forced labor. In the Spanish accounts, in 1872 was premeditated a part of a big conspiracy among educated leaders, mestizos, lawyers, and residents of Manila and Cavite. They allegedly planned to liquidate high-ranking Spanish officers, then kill friars. The accounts detail that on January 20, 1872, the district of Sampaloc celebrated the Feast of the Virgin Loreto. Came with it were some fireworks display. The Caviteños mistook this as a signal to commence attack. On Spanish accounts, there were 200 men, and they were led by Sergeant La Madrid, attacked Spanish officers at sight and seized the arsenal. Ecuador, upon learning the attack, ordered reinforcement of the Spanish forces in Cavite to revolt. The revolution was easily crushed when Manileños, who were expected to aid the Caviteños, did not arrive. In result, leaders of the plot were killed. Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were tried by a court martial and sentenced to be executed. Others were implicated, such as Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, Antonio Navegador, Jose Basa, Pio Basa, and among Filipinos lawyers arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment at the Marianas Island. On February 17, 1872, the Gomborsa were executed by Garrote and public to serve as a threat to Filipinos never attempt to fight the Spaniards again. This is the scene supposedly witnessed by a young Jose Rizal. Differing accounts of the events of 1872. Dr. Trinidad Hermenegildo Pardo de Tavera, a Filipino scholar and researcher. He wrote a Filipino version of the bloody incident in the said event, which is the Cavite Mutiny. He wrote that the incident was merely a mutiny by Filipino soldiers and laborers of the Cavite arsenal to the dissatisfaction arising from the draconian policies of Ecuador. Primarily, it was the source and the excerpts from the Padre de Tavera's account of the Cavite Mutiny. The Central Spanish government was planning to deprive the friars of all the powers of intervention in matters of civil government and direction and management of education institutions. Filipinos had great hopes of an improvement in affairs of their country. The friars feared that their power in the colony would soon be completed, a thing of the past. So that's what happened in the Cavite Mutiny. So over all of those arguments and claims about the issue of Cavite Mutiny, I believe that General Rafael Izquierdo, the former Governor General of Puerto Rico, began his term as Governor General of the Philippines, replacing the liberal-minded Carlos Maria de la Torre. The Cavite Mutiny and the execution of Gomborza happened under his administration. So, all of those reporters and researchers about the said issue of Cavite Mutiny, I believe that Dr. Rafael Izquierdo is one of the most believable, because of his research are one of the most accurate in all of those claims and these arguments. And this ends my vlog about the Cavite Mutiny. Once again, good day and thank you.